Friday, closing out the first week of Q4 here at the New York Stock Exchange. We are talking nothing but red on that screen, and it's significant. 1.3 billion shares on the tape at 10-1 declines versus advances. There's nothing but red, except gold and the VIX. The VIX being the fear index, plenty of that in this market. And then you've got obviously gold as a flight to safety on a day like today. Why did this happen? How did it happen? We've been trading at frothy valuations, super high record closes, 33 of them across the board for days and weeks. President Xi and President Trump sitting in the playground, in the sandbox, throwing the ball at each other. Started out with an aggressive narrative around rare earth minerals by China, saying we're going to bypass the U.S. We don't need them, we don't want them, and they're not part of our game. And Mr. Trump tweeting on an aggressive tweet on Truth Social. You know, that's not the kind of thing you say to Mr. Trump. That doesn't bode well. And so that's that's where we stand.
$1.5 trillion wiped out is ridiculous. All I hear is buy, 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 buy. It's called billionaires pull the rug out from under young investors. You can imagine a lot of people made a hell ton of money at that point. That should just be a form of market manipulation, honestly, because that's just ridiculous. Trump is pumping and dumping the market. Indeed he is. Because why would you be so quick to mention how you feel on Truth Social? It just doesn't make sense, especially when you think about how presidents usually conduct themselves. Most times they have a deliberation with their team before they make a decision like this. But man went out there and tweeted how he felt, and boom, the market did what it did.
What the fuck is going on? Donald Trump just came out today and said it was all a misunderstanding. No, like I shit you not, the crash that we just had in crypto was because Trump thought that we were getting in another trade war. That's why this happened. So literally, we dumped like a motherfucker because of these dumbass tariffs that didn't exist. Billionaires got loaded up on short, and that happened. I'm telling you, this shit should be illegal, okay? That should be fucking illegal. That is market manipulation. I mean, there's dead ass people ending their lives over this shit, dude. Like, fuck, bro. This will go down in history as the most manipulated dump of all time. And, yeah, that happened.
Wait, fun fact, it's illegal. Fortunately, Trump fired everyone at the SEC, so there's nobody to prosecute it. It's one way to bypass the whole situation.
Beijing's official response to the president's latest tariff threat seems to be one of a shrug, with the government here reiterating its long-standing position on a tariff war with the U.S., saying they don't want one, but they're also not afraid of one. Again, pledging to impose countermeasures if the president makes good on its latest threat. Now, from the U.S. perspective, all of this was triggered by China's announcement last week of sweeping new export restrictions of rare earths, not only expanding its list of materials, but also extending curbs to target production technologies and even overseas use. That's on top of ongoing U.S. complaints about China dragging its feet in resuming issuing export licenses to U.S. clients, despite a tariff truce between the two sides. Now, from Beijing's perspective, though, all of this is their response to growing U.S. export restrictions on AI chips and key technologies targeting China. So basically, despite President Trump's calling this a shock and hostile move, Beijing considers this fighting fire with fire. So the sentiment among Chinese analysts and state media is one of confidence because of China's near monopoly in the global supply of these critical materials and magnets found in everything from smartphones to EVs to rockets and missiles. So the weaponization of these materials, as far as Beijing is concerned, is their trump card. But of course, there are other voices arguing that they may be overreaching here, especially considering freezing out your biggest clients in the US and the West may not be in your best interest when you are the biggest supplier. So some experts are saying this could be Beijing pressing one of the biggest pain points of the US as a trade negotiating tactic. But no matter how you slice this latest twist is already adding new uncertainty to not only US-China relations, but also a fragile global economy.
Wait, basically China's logic goes like this. If I can buy the finished product, then I am completely willing to sell you the materials to make the finished product. But if I'm denied access to the finished product, I will deny you access to the material needed to make the finished product. It's a reasonable and fair argument. Of course, the US definitely doesn't see it that way. I love how this was summarized so perfectly, because this is exactly the situation.
President Trump threatening a 100% tariff on China over and above any tariff that they are currently paying starting November 1st. Now, you may be confused about what the tariff rates are, and if you are, then you're certainly not alone. But all of it causing mayhem on Wall Street, causing it to have its worst day since April, which of course was when Trump announced his reciprocal tariffs for the first time, right? Liberation Day. The Dow alone today plunged nearly 900 points when Trump first threatened to reignite that trade war. Trump says that it's because of China. He says that China is cutting back on exporting crucial minerals needed to make modern technologies like iPhones. And they're called rare earths. And he says because of that, this is what's going to happen. He said for every element that they have been able to monopolize, we have two. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps as with all things, the time has come.
Just want to confirm, have you canceled your meeting with President Xi? And
No, I haven't canceled, but I don't know that we're going to have it. But I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it.
This is not looking good. I don't know how that conversation will be at the table, but they need to figure this out before that time. The people of the US are paying all those tariffs. China is laughing, and so is the rest of the world. And then they have a picture of Lady Liberty being caressed. I swear, the comment sections just be so silly.
Trump said, "Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it." President DJT. I'm sorry, but talking about a potential depression should escalations continue is not a great way to reassure Americans. It's not a great way to reassure investors on Wall Street. I don't think this improves the situation at all, and it doesn't necessarily make it worse. It just leaves tons of uncertainty for people, which is terrible for the economy. The economy does not like uncertainty. We like stability. And that's what we had under Joe Biden. Just remember that, everyone. Trump seems to suggest that President Xi just had a bad moment, made a mistake, and will take it all back tomorrow, maybe after reading this post with threats of depression. I mean, this is where we're at, people. It's pretty unreal that in 2025, this is how world leaders are communicating with each other.
Let me predict what will happen on the 1st November. Tucker will say Xi called him and begged him not to impose the tariff, and since he liked Xi, he like his brother, he's going to postpone it. It already happened once, so let's see if it actually happens twice. Trump is good at projecting his delusions onto others. Wow, y'all are going in.
Trump is furious again, threatening China with new tariffs. This time, 100% on all Chinese goods. Why? Because China just announced a full-scale restriction on rare earth exports and related technologies. But seriously, his logic makes no sense. You start a trade war. You said you don't want a globalization. You told Americans stop buying made in China. And now you're angry that China won't sell you rare earth? That's literally the result of your own policies. The US banned high-end chips to China, and now China is responding with something even more critical: rare earth. Here's why that matters. Rare earth are 70 essential elements using chips, AI systems, nuclear submarines, missiles, and even F-35 fighter jets. Nearly 90% of America's defense systems depends on rare earth materials refined in China. China holds about 1/3 of global reserves, and it's the only country that controls the entire industrial chain from mining to high-end refining. Over 90% of global refining capacity is in China. The US, it still lacks a top refining technology, so it's been relying on imports from China for years. For a long time, China didn't use this as leverage because there was still hope for cooperation. But this time, let's see who chickens out first.
China, look, what we do with chips is basically what China was trying to do with rare earths, right? How we restrict them from getting our chips. So they were like, well, I want to restrict you from getting our rare earth minerals, right? So they were doing the same thing. But then, Trump's like, his initial knee-jerk reaction is always like full court press, like, I'm going to screw you and all that. Never does that. And at the same time, China also does something like that because they're same, negotiating tactic, right? They're trying to like test the waters. They're trying to poke, like, how much are you going to punch me back if I jab you like that? Oh, you're going to come. Okay. Bottom line is, Trump says everything's fine. He makes his posts. Everything's fine. We are probably still going to meet. So all that was just a lot of hot air, and the market agrees with that. It just turned right back around again. There's a lot more things complicated to work out in this deal with us in China that encompasses all the trade, rare earths, chips, everything. But right now, it was just a little bit of a scare, and then everything seems to be back to, we're going to start talking more.
Right.
And that's why the market's okay, I think.
Today, the market actually stabilized and a lot of the stocks rebounded. So if you got the dip, you're lucky. And if you took the short, you probably made a hell of a ton of money. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are on what's going on between China and America's trade war. Do you think that China's justified in doing what they did, or do you think America is gonna go ahead with this 100% tariff on November 1st and we'll see who'll chicken out first? Leave your comments down below and let me know what your thoughts are on this. If it's your first time to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And by the way, check out this video if you haven't. Nevertheless, I will see you guys when I see you. Peace.